Is your old driver holding you back, or can it still compete with the best drivers from recent years? In today's video, I test the 2008 TaylorMade Tour Burner, putting it up against one of the best drivers from recent years, the Callaway AI Smoke Triple Diamond. This is going to be a direct showdown, from tee shots on real holes to detailed launch monitor data, to find out if you are giving up any performance with your older driver. We are going to find out today if 15 years worth of innovation justifies spending your hard-earned money. Let's get into it. First things first, let's do a little tech breakdown. What struck me straight away was the wording that these manufacturers are using to describe their drivers. It hasn't changed in 15 years. The TaylorMade Tour Burner has inverted cone technology in the head design for maximum forgiveness and maximum distance. The AI Smoke Triple Diamond, on the other hand, has an AI smart face, which was designed to create multiple sweet spots across the face for, you guessed it, maximum forgiveness and maximum distance. Now, in all fairness, the goal for any manufacturer every single year is to create a driver that is more forgiving and longer. So we can't really blame them for using the same terminology year after year, especially when they actually probably have increased distance and forgiveness. But I do wonder how much the likes of TaylorMade and Callaway have actually increased the performance of their drivers over the years. It's not rare at all to see tour players actually putting 4 or 5-year-old drivers in the bag. Aaron Rai, for example, is still using the 2019 TaylorMade M6, and he's still managing to beat the likes of Tommy Fleetwood and Rory McIlroy, even with that in the bag. But the bigger question for us average golfers is, do we have to spend big money on newer drivers just to get better at golf? Because the price difference between these two drivers is actually crazy. I got this driver through a company called Nearly New Golf Clubs. They're a second-hand golf club company, and you can pick up the TaylorMade Tour Burner for just £79. Brand new 2025 drivers are costing nearly £600, and there are reports that say that 2026 drivers will cost more than £700. It's a crazy world we live in, but at least the prices drop very quickly after you've bought a brand new driver. If we're patient enough, we'll be able to pick up second-hand clubs for a lot cheaper. The Callaway AI Smoke driver, for example, is just a couple of years old. Brand new, this club was £569. But second-hand, it's only £279 from Nearly New Golf Clubs. So always have a good scout around for second-hand equipment, because there's a lot of money to be saved. But anyway, the price difference might be astronomical, but what about the performance? Let's do some testing. Just like all of my tests on this channel, I'm going to be using the Flightscope Mevo Plus to gather all of my data. I'm going to hit 20 shots with each club, and we're going to be looking at things like carry numbers, ball speeds, club head speeds, and most importantly, forgiveness. But while I gather this data here in the simulator, let's head over and see how this thing fared on an actual golf course. It was a very gloomy day out on the golf course today, but with any luck, you guys can still see the ball flights. I hit 6 tee shots with the TaylorMade Tour Burner on the back 9 at Spalding Golf Club. Now, a caveat. A few of these tee shots aren't actually a driver for me. This first tee shot being a prime example. I have absolutely middled this tee shot, and it's gone exactly where I aimed it, and I've ended up in the right rough up against a tree. Now, usually this tee shot is a 4-iron up the middle of the fairway, so I'm actually taking this missed fairway with the driver with a pinch of salt. After all, it did go exactly where I aimed it. Similar with the 11th tee shot, this is usually a layup with an iron, and again, this tee shot was absolutely middled, and it's landed on my target line. I've actually ended up on a greenside bunker on a par 4, so this was a really good drive for me. The 12th tee shot requires a bit of a cut around the corner, especially when you've got a driver in hand. Unfortunately, I've overdone the cut with this shot, and it's ended up in the trees on the right-hand side. But it does go to show that you can actually create some shot shapes with this driver. Moving on to the 13th hole, and this was a monster of a drive. This one came right out of the screws, and it's carried a mound in the fairway, which is about 250 yards away. Now, considering this is a cold December day, this was an absolutely massive drive for me. The 14th is very similar to the 12th, where you need to actually cut it around the corner. Unfortunately, I double crossed here, and I ended up drawing this tee shot instead of cutting it. But just listen to the sound of that driver. That high-pitched whack is so satisfying. And finally, the 15th. All you need here is a perfectly straight drive. And this one came right out the middle of the club and is a perfect drive down the middle of the fairway. A seriously satisfying hit, and like I said, out on the golf course,
absolutely nothing wrong with this drive.
And that drive prompted my playing partner Ben to say this.
What you should do now, hit your drive and see what the distance is compared.
So I did. And as you can see from the shot shape, That little test did not end well for the Callaway. I actually lost that golf ball. So I reckon I hit 4 good tee shots from the 6 I hit out on the golf course. It didn't feel like I was giving up too much distance, if any, and the forgiveness felt pretty good. But what does the data have to say about distance and forgiveness? Let's have a look at the simulator results. Right then, data collection done. Let's see how much distance and forgiveness has been added with 15 years worth of innovation. The data points we're going to look at are carry, club head speed, ball speed, carry dispersion, and left and right dispersion. I think those 5 things should tell us if technology has come along or not. And we're going to start with the carry numbers. The burner was carrying at 247 yards compared to the Callaway at 252 yards. Obviously, this is definitely a win for the Callaway, but is 5 extra yards really worth the money? I'm not too sure because that's only half a club. Let me know what you guys think. Moving on to club head speed, and the Callaway wins again. 102 miles an hour club head speed for the Callaway compared to 99 miles an hour for the burner. Now I included club head speed because driver head aerodynamics and weight saving is a huge part of innovation, and 3 miles an hour feels like a pretty big bump in performance, especially when you consider that the shafts are pretty much the same weight. I think 3 miles an hour extra club head speed is probably more of a technology bump compared to the 5 yards of extra carry. Next up, we've got ball speed, and this is an interesting one. The Callaway does win again with 151 miles an hour compared to 148 miles an hour for the Tour burner, but that doesn't actually tell the full story. The TaylorMade Tour burner actually has a better smash factor. For those that don't know, smash factor is ball speed divided by club head speed, and it relates to the efficiency of the club face. The higher this number, the more efficient the golf club is. Now, considering that Callaway has this fancy AI face, which is supposed to optimize off-center hits, it is really interesting to see that the TaylorMade Tour burner has a smash factor of 1.49 compared to the Callaway at 1.48. It's obviously not a huge difference, but the TaylorMade Tour burner is definitely more efficient than the Callaway AI Smoke Triple Diamond. Anyway, moving on to the forgiveness numbers. Let's start with the carry dispersion. This is the difference between the longest carry number and the shortest carry number in the 20 shots I hit. And the TaylorMade isn't just more efficient, it's more forgiving with its carry. 16.3 yards difference compared to 20.7 yard difference with the Callaway. This is a pretty big win for the TaylorMade, and it means you can rely on it more out on the golf course to carry a hazard. Now, most people don't consider carry dispersion when it comes to forgiveness. Most people think the left and right dispersion is more important. And to be fair, the TaylorMade did struggle with this for me. The TaylorMade Tour burner's left and right dispersion was 52.5 yards wide compared to just 40.6 yards wide for the Callaway. So credit where credit's due, the Callaway is definitely straighter than the TaylorMade Tour burner. And after all is said and done, the Callaway does win this test. I'd score that match 3.5 to 1.5 to the Callaway. But let's be honest, we were expecting it to win, weren't we? Based on these results, do you think it's worth spending the extra £200 just for that little bit of extra performance? Guys, let me know in the comments what you think. Would you prefer to buy the TaylorMade Tour burner or the Callaway AI Smoke Triple Diamond? If you haven't seen enough to make up your mind yet, I've got one more test that I think will help you decide. Let's put these two to a head-to-head match. For this match, we are going to hit 5 tee shots each on the iconic 18th hole at Pebble Beach. A notoriously difficult tee shot. I'm going to award 1 point for every fairway hit, and I'm going to award 1 extra point for the longest drive with each turn they take. This should be a fun little test to see how these drivers perform under pressure. Let's go. Go. Stay right. Stay up. always gonna happen. Stay up. Over direction. Go. So there you have it, guys, a 5-4 win to the 2008 TaylorMade Tour Burner. Not at all the result I was expecting, but it just goes to show that there are bargains to be had when you buy second-hand golf clubs. You have to remember that that driver costs £79 compared to the Callaway at £279. If you are in the market for some new clubs, make sure you're checking out second-hand golf clubs first. There's a link in the description to Nearly New Golf Clubs, which is where I buy all of my second-hand golf clubs. They've got a massive stock list. They've got tons of clubs, all sorts of shapes and sizes, so make sure you check them out. But for now, thank you so much for watching this whole video. If you're still here and you're not yet subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next week for another video.